Hi, Amanda Ambles here. So I just wanted to report on the council meeting last night because, as some of you may know or may not know, that public participation is no longer recorded on YouTube. So, this is a little bit of taking away our freedom of speech, censorship, and basically we have to take in our own cameras, our own phones to record us. I will share the speech that I did last night at some point, but it was a very interesting and very charged evening. So I would just like to thank those other people who spoke from the community last night. So there was myself, there was a lady called Leela and Tatanka as well. And all of us were addressing the World Heritage status bid. So, no, it's not just coincidence that three of us last night were all addressing the same things. And we all had our own different vibes and our own different takes slightly. But the thrust of our argument is, why are you still not meaningfully communicating or conversing or looking for dialogue with the local community? And my argument was basically saying that there is a living community in Glastonbury. It isn't just about the sacred sites, although the sacred sites are extremely important. So Leela had all kinds of different acts and things and laws that they were breaking. And Tatanka talked very much about the history of UNESCO and the principles on which it was founded. So we were told that UNESCO is founded on peace and those kinds of principles, but we know that Julian Huxley, who was one of the founders of UNESCO, actually purported eugenics and actually pushed for eugenics. So this is the kind of anti-life agenda that UNESCO actually have. So her speech was actually very powerful. She wasn't as fiery or as feisty as I was. I think this is around the fourth time, it could be the fifth time that I've spoken in the last year there. So I'm not going to give up so easily. In fact, I think some of the councillors are getting a little bit bored of seeing my face in there. But it just showed you that it's wonderful that other people are standing up. They're saying this is not okay. And in fact, after I spoke, there was a lovely round of applause. In fact, after all of us spoke, there was a lot of public support, in the council chambers last night. It was brilliant. So unfortunately, you can't see it on YouTube, but thank you very much to Jack Cox for recording us. And I will share on a post, I will share links to some of our speeches if you're interested, because this is history in the making, what's going on in Glastonbury. So, we don't want technocracy to take over here. We like the town the way it is. We're the host community, as UNESCO calls us, and it's about time that our voice is heard and heeded as well. It just feels like we are banging our heads against a brick wall, but actually, when you think about the way we were ridiculed and told it was misinformation when we started speaking out, I think some of the councillors are starting to listen. Although they didn't really look very engaged last night. One of the councillors, after my speech, stood up and said, it would be good to have a discussion. Amanda's spoken here on numerous occasions. And it's true, it just kind of like falls on silence afterwards, after we speak. And it would be wonderful, wouldn't it, to sit around a table and actually have a discussion about these things. But thank you so much to all my subscribers. I know that some of you may not know Glastonbury in the UK, but actually this heritage tourism is actually a global threat and has affected countries and sites all over the globe. Recently, there was a really bad accident in Machu Picchu because of the over-tourism. There's been numerous occasions of UNESCO side where the local indigenous communities have been ostracised and pushed out. So, yeah, it really is a massive issue. It isn't just what's going on in Glastonbury. You know, it's in the UK, it's Avebury and Stonehenge. And, you know, we want to commune with these sacred sites. It's very, very important for our own identity and for our own well-being. Our well-being is paramount here. And it isn't just about, you know, not being able to have anywhere to live, not being able to afford to live here, getting pushed out. We have an intrinsic right to actually, you know, interact with these places. You know, for many of us, it's our spiritual path, interacting with the spirits of these places. Anyhow, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Have you challenged your councils? It's really important that we do stand up for our own rights as citizens, as residents, and as people who live on this planet, who care about the future of humanity. Thank you so much for listening. I'm just talking in my car tonight. And I really appreciate having the 500 subscribers plus. I really, really do. So thank you to every single one of you. I really appreciate you being here. You know, you spur me on to, you know, to continue with this campaign, with developing as a human being. And I just want to say a massive, massive thanks to every single one of you. Loads of love. Keep on keeping on. Amanda Ambles signing out. You take care and be brave, be courageous. Lots of love.